Hi, and welcome to our first unit, which is that of evolution. Now, evolution is one of the first parts of our biology syllabus that we're covering this year. So if you find this sort of thing interesting, which of course I do, then biology might be a subject that you might look at taking in your senior studies. Now, evolution. Most of you will have heard of evolution over your time speaking to different people. Different people have got different opinions about what evolution actually is, and there are many misconceptions with regards to that. So let's look at what evolution actually is. Now, evolution is that from the beginning of time we have changed gradually from those earlier simpler organisms to more and more complex organisms over a period of time. Now, many people have different ideas on evolution, and some people do not believe that evolution occurs, but there is now loads and loads of evidence to suggest, in fact, that evolution does occur, and we can see that with the fossils that we have here and have found over a period of time. Even our religious clerics are now on board and have actually said that they agree that over the period of time since life has been on Earth, that there are gradual changes, and in some respects we can see evolution still occurring today. So what is evolution? Now, evolution, the theory says that we evolved from those organisms from millions and millions of years ago. Now, it's a permanent change in the population of the individuals, and that's one of our biggest misconceptions, is that a single individual will change, but it's the population that has changed over a period of time. Now, evolution is a really slow process. Many generations usually have to change before any change is really noticeable, except perhaps in the case of some antibiotics and things like that with regard to antibiotic resistance, but we'll talk about that one a little bit later. So, what's actually happening when we talk about evolution is that our species will change and they will evolve. And similar to cousins that you might share a common grandmother, there'll be similarities that you can see between you, but there are also a lot of differences. So with regards to evolution, we're sharing a common ancestor. So that again is another one of our misconceptions, is that we evolved from the ape, and that's not exactly true. What's actually happened is we have shared a common ancestor with the ape, and then our evolutionary path has separated from there. So life is thought to have arisen about 4 billion years ago on Earth, and the first things that we saw was some bacteria, so very simple organisms. And then if we look at our fossil record, which we'll look at in a minute, you'll see that over time our organisms have become more complex. So if we look here, this is kind of like a rough, and I'll just move me. This is like a rough outline of what has happened over a period of time. So of course we're getting, right in the earlier days, our Big Bang, we're getting our sun, earth and moon forming, and then we're starting to get our bacteria forming. So you can see the bacteria forming here, very simple organisms, and then gradually changing, and you can see there that they've really risen from the sea to the land. So we get our sponges and our fungi and our corals. Then we've got our jellyfish and mollusks and things like that. And then we're getting our more complex. So we're getting our fish, and then life started to come onto that land a bit with our amphibians. Then we've got our birds and mammals, and they're progressively getting more and more complex as we go. Now, with evolution, and the great thing about evolution is it's really given rise to that biodiversity, and that biodiversity is really important, and that's our variation of the life forms that we see. So we now are seeing huge ranges of organisms that we didn't see previously. On the same token, though, we are seeing large numbers of extinctions occurring due to the life that we live and the environments for some of our answers, some of our own life. So the things that we're needing for our life is affecting some of those organisms that live in those environments. And with that extinction, then also becomes a loss of biodiversity. So that's just a basic introduction to what evolution is. In our next video, we'll talk about some of the evidence to show that evolution actually has occurred. See you then.